So today we're going to be looking at Matthew chapter 20. And in Matthew chapter 20, it starts out with the parable of the man who went out early in the morning and hired laborers. And then throughout the day he hired other laborers. And the contract with the first group of laborers that were to labor was for a penny a day. And this thing, that was when a penny was actually worth something, not like it is today. But anyway, that's what inflation does for you. 2,000 years of inflation and a penny isn't worth anything. Right, well anyway, so for a penny a day, they went to work, right? And but then when it came time to pay everybody, the last ones hired received a penny the same as the first ones that were hired. And so the first guys complained because, hey, we've borne the heat of the day and all this other stuff, and we're getting the same pay as the guys that only worked for 1 hour. And then the master says, I gave you according to the contract. And, I can do with my money what I want to do. It's lawful to do with what I want to do. If I want to be generous with everybody the same as the first guy, it's not their fault that they were last ones hired, And so, I mean, just think if the master had have hired them all at the beginning of the day for a penny, he would have gotten a lot more work out of them, right? So who's the real loser in all this? It wasn't the guys that got paid the penny. It was the master that he finally only got 1 hour's work for the same price out of the last group of laborers. You see? Think about it. But the point of this parable isn't who's the winner and loser. The point of this parable is the idea that who were the first ones that were called? Well, that's obviously the house of Israel. And, for thousands of years, they bore the burden of protecting the scriptures and bringing forth the gospel, and they bore the heat of the day, right? And suddenly here come the Gentiles, okay? And the Gentiles are getting the same reward that they're getting, and they're jealous because of it. Well, it happens even in churches today. You've got the old members and you've got new members. You've got new members coming in, and the old members are jealous of the new members because the new members are treated equally the same as the old members. And so there's this jealousy that people have that somebody is going to get more than what they've got. So, Jesus is telling this parable to say, hey, look, there's going to be changes, and, and it's going to seem unfair, but hey, the landowner, the master, the Lord, okay, out of his generosity, we all get the same in the kingdom of heaven. We all get the same treatment. We all get the same love. We all get the same benefits. We all get the same forgiveness of sins. And that doesn't change just because somebody's been in longer than the others. Do you see what I'm saying? But this is not talking about eternal rewards. This is talking about the day-to-day of life. All right? Because we'll talk about rewards in heaven in a little bit later. Okay? So then we come down. Jesus talks about being crucified again. Okay, then we come to another interesting idea. Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons, worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. And he said unto her, What wilt thou? She saith unto him, Grant that these my two sons may sit, the one on the right hand and the other on the left, in thy kingdom. But Jesus answered and said, Ye know not what ye ask. Are ye not able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be baptized with the baptism which I am baptized with? And they say unto him, We are able. And he saith unto them, Ye shall drink indeed of my cup, and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with, but to sit on my right hand and my left hand is not mine to give, but it shall be given to them for whom it is prepared of my Father. Okay, so here's the thing that, once again, I mentioned this before, how a lot of people aspire to position. You know, the greater the position, theoretically, the greater the person. But Jesus already spoke about it. It's not your position, okay? As far as position is concerned, children, the position of children is greater than the position of kings and rulers and so on, you see. But who's really great in the kingdom of God are those who are keeping the commandments and teaching others to do so. It's not about position. It's about what you're doing for the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so then, and so obviously the other 10, they were a little bit upset by the whole idea. But then Jesus talked about, and this is really a very important principle of the kingdom of God. But Jesus called unto them and said, Ye know that the princes of the Gentiles exercise dominion over them, and they that are great exercise authority upon them. And that's so typical of government. And it doesn't matter what kind of government it is. You can have a dictatorship or you can have a democracy. The people that get into power, they exercise authority over everybody else. It happens in the military. It happens on the job a lot of times. I've worked for places where the boss or the foreman was a dictator. You know, it wasn't fun to work for him, you know, because this is what people do. People aspire to positions of power and authority so they can exercise power and authority, right? Okay. But it shall not be so among you. But whosoever shall be great among you, let him be your minister. We're called to be ministers, servants, you see. We're there to attend to the needs of other people. We're not there to dish out rules and regulations and dictatorship. You know, we don't rule them. They tell us what they want of us. We are the servants. Okay? And that's what we do. Whatever they want us to do, that's what we do. And it's hard making the change, you know, because we have this instinct that tells us that we need to be seeking for the highest level, the highest position. All right? So, and then he goes on, he said, Even as the Son of Man came not to be ministered unto, but to minister and give his life a ransom for many. And as they departed from Jericho, a great multitude followed him. Okay, Jesus did not come to be served. He came to serve. All right? And that's the example that we have. And it doesn't matter where you're at, you know, like in your family. A lot of parents have this idea that they have children so the children can serve them. No. It's the parents' job to serve the children, you see, and to rear them up in the ways of God. All right? It's not the job for the children to come into the home and start working for the parents. You know, the parents work for the children want to help. You let the children help, but, you know, you teach them and so on. And, you know, we have to change somehow the ways of the world for the kingdom of heaven, and it begins in the home. Okay, so the last story here is about the blind men, and they came calling after Jesus. You know, please save us, please give us sight to blind, give us sight so that we won't be blind, and so Jesus said, what do you really want in your hearts? And they said, to be able to see. And he said, and Jesus had compassion on them and touched their eyes, and immediately their eyes received sight.